Well, thank you very much indeed, and it's great to be here. And I just detect the slight flavour of a kind of evangelical meeting to all this, as we all stand up and say how we found the faith. So let me tell you how, guided by Will, I found the faith. And it was great hearing Vince talk, and it was fantastic working with Vince on this. He didn't mention, of course, something else that would have been in his intro on that first day, was that chapter from the Orange Book of the Liberal Democrats saying get rid of biz, and the handling issue of kind of what exactly you think of that now, Secretary of State. And I myself had come from having worked for Margaret Thatcher in Number 10 in the 1980s, from a very similar view of the world. And the thought process that we both went through in that first year was realizing that kind of we endlessly beat up on ourselves that in Britain somehow we're bad at innovation, that we are bad at commercializing our bright ideas. And when you looked at this, what you found was that government support for innovation and commercialization stopped far earlier than in many other advanced Western countries, long before these projects were fully commercial. And then we somehow beat up on ourselves that we lacked the entrepreneurial drive to take risk, when the truth was we were expecting people in the British environment to take more risk than they were being expected to take anywhere else. And it was absolutely clear to me that what we therefore needed was, where necessary, government should be taking innovations and ideas from universities or elsewhere, helping them get much closer to market than we did in the past. And that's why we have introduced the catapult centres. That's why, of course, we stuck with the excellent institution created originally by David Sainsbury, the Technology Strategy Board. That's why we now have, with the British Business Bank, the prospect of someone with a great idea, looking at it emerging from funding with a research council, then going on to get funding and support from Innovate UK, and then having support from the British Business Bank to take it to market. A full, final, comprehensive, coherent journey to market. And finally, the biggest barrier was an intellectual barrier. The biggest barrier was the crippling fear of so-called picking winners. And the fact is, when you looked around the world, in most crucial areas of technological advance, government actually has to take a view. It has to take a view because resources are limited and you can't support everything. It has to take a view because you have to shape regulations that will help create markets for the future. And the thinking, and Birgitte would kind of mention it, behind the 8 great technologies was that there were clearly, on expert advice, there were some big technologies which we were good at in Britain and which had a global market opportunity, and we should bloody well seize them and not be crippled by anxiety that some of them weren't going to work out in exactly the way that we expected. And throughout that journey, in the last 5 years, the Big Innovation Centre has been an absolutely crucial partner. And there are lots of people in this room this evening who've also played an important role, not least by being innovators yourselves. And I'm grateful and salute you all. Thank you very much indeed.